Have you ever wondered why some women are cherished, adored, and treated like absolute queens while others are taken for granted, left as just an option? Think about it for a moment. Two women can walk into the same room with the same beauty, the same charm, even the same kindness, yet one is valued deeply, respected without question, and loved with commitment, while the other is left waiting, hoping, and wondering why she isn't given the same devotion. The truth is, it isn't always about looks. It isn't always about wealth, status, or even personality. It's something far deeper, something rooted in psychology, in human behavior, and in the way we allow others to treat us. And once you understand this truth, you'll see why men treat some women like royalty and some like temporary distractions. But here's a promise for you right now. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you will discover a perspective that could shift the way you see yourself forever. You will walk away with clarity, strength, and the kind of unshakable mindset that commands respect, not just from men, but from everyone around you. That is your reward. Now, let's go deeper. Every human being is wired with instincts. We don't always make choices with logic alone. We respond to energy, to confidence, to presence. Men, like all people, sense the level of value a woman carries within herself. And whether he realizes it consciously or not, he mirrors it back. When a woman carries herself like a queen, with boundaries, with self-respect, with certainty about her worth, she sends a clear signal. This is how I must be treated. And guess what? Men listen. They respond because deep in human psychology, we treat others in line with the value they project. On the other hand, when a woman doubts her worth, when she accepts less than she deserves, when she lowers her standards out of fear of losing someone, she unknowingly sends the opposite signal. She teaches others that it's okay to put her second, to delay commitment, to treat her like an option. And once that seed is planted, respect starts to fade. Not because she isn't valuable, but because she hasn't shown the world the true weight of her value. Think about this. A crown doesn't make a queen. A queen makes the crown. It isn't the title that gives her respect. It's the way she walks, the way she stands, the way she refuses to settle for less than she deserves. Men don't just treat some women like queens because they want to. They do it because those women leave no room for anything less. Their presence demands it. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They believe respect is given. They think love and devotion happen randomly, like luck. But that's not true. Respect is not luck. It's psychology. Love is not coincidence. It's alignment. And treatment is not chance. It's training. Yes, training. Because every interaction teaches people how to treat you. Every yes you give to disrespect, every time you stay silent when you should speak, every moment you settle for crumbs instead of the full feast, you are teaching the world how to value you. And if that sounds harsh, it's because it is. But here's the empowering truth. You can change it. You can shift the way people treat you by shifting the way you treat yourself. The moment you decide that you will never again be someone's second choice, the moment you stand tall and say, I am not an option, I am the prize, everything changes. Why? Because human beings are drawn to certainty. We are attracted to strength. We respect those who respect themselves. And this is not arrogance. It's not pride. It's dignity. It's self-love. It's the highest form of psychology in action, showing others through your standards how they must step up if they want a place in your life. So ask yourself right now, are you living as a queen or as an option? Are you demanding respect through your presence, or are you silently accepting less than you deserve? Be honest with yourself, because the answer to that question will tell you why men treat you the way they do. And remember this, your worth is not something you beg for, it's something you embody. Queens don't chase, they attract. Queens don't lower their crown, they lift it higher. Queens don't settle for being chosen sometimes, they are the choice every time. This is just the beginning. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you will hold the keys to transforming the way people see you, treat you, and love you. That is the reward waiting for you. Clarity, confidence, and the power to never again be seen as just an option. If you truly want to understand why men treat some women like queens and others like options, you must first understand the psychology behind human behavior, because every action, every response, every choice in relationships is not random. It's deeply connected to how the mind works. Here's a truth most people ignore. Human beings don't treat others based on who those people are. We treat others based on how we perceive them. Perception is reality, or the way a woman presents herself, the boundaries she sets, the energy she radiates. Those elements create a story in a man's mind. And that story determines whether he treats her as a priority or just a backup plan. Let's look deeper. Psychology teaches us something powerful. People assign value based on scarcity and importance. Think about it. If something is rare, if it's not easily available, if it feels like a treasure, you respect it, you protect it, you want to hold on to it. But if something is always available, always waiting, always giving without asking, people start to assume it has less value. This isn't fair, but it's real. The human brain works that way. Now ask yourself, how are you teaching others to perceive you? Are you showing them that your time is rare, that your love is precious, that your presence is a gift? Or are you making it easy for them to take you for granted because you never set limits, never say no, never walk away from what doesn't honor you? Psychology makes it clear. People don't value what comes with no effort. They value what requires respect, consistency, and intention to keep. There is also another psychological law at play, reinforcement. When you reward certain behaviors, they get repeated. When you accept disrespect, you are reinforcing it. When you allow excuses, you are reinforcing them. But when you stand firm, when you remove your presence from situations where you are undervalued, you teach the opposite lesson. You show that your love is not free. It must be earned through respect. And over time, this reinforcement rewires how others treat you. Men, like all humans, are driven by challenge and clarity. When a woman carries herself with clarity, clear about what she deserves, clear about what she will not allow, she doesn't even need to demand respect because her energy speaks it. And when her presence carries challenge, not in games, not in manipulation, but in the simple truth that her love must be met with effort, it awakens something in a man's psychology. He steps up, he commits, he gives more, because the mind values what is not easy to replace. On the other hand, when clarity is missing, confusion takes over. When a woman accepts inconsistent behavior, mixed signals, or half-hearted effort, she is training the man's psychology to believe that this is enough. And once a man's mind accepts that this is enough, he will not rise higher because there's no need. Why climb the mountain if you're already given the view? Why build the castle if the crown is handed over for free? Here's what most people don't realize. Psychology is always at work, whether you use it consciously or not. Every choice you make sends a message. Every silence, every yes, every second chance, it all programs how others treat you. This is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. Because when you respect yourself so deeply that your standards shine, through every action, the mind of anyone around you cannot ignore it. Think about relationships as a mirror. They reflect back to you the energy you put into them. If you show weakness, if you show desperation, if you show fear of being alone, that mirror will return to you people who take advantage of it. But if you show strength, self-belief, and independence, that mirror returns to you people who admire, respect, and protect that. Psychology doesn't lie. It always reflects the truth of how you see yourself. So if you've ever wondered why someone treated you as less than you are, don't look at them first. Look at what you allowed. Look at what you reinforced. Look at the signals you may have unconsciously sent, because the mind of another person only responds to the training you give it. But here's the empowering part. You can retrain it. You can reset the entire dynamic the moment you shift your own psychology. When you decide, I will no longer accept crumbs. I will no longer explain my worth. I will no longer give all of me for half of someone else. Something changes within you. And that inner change creates an outer transformation. Men sense it. People sense it. And suddenly you are not an option. You are the standard. Never forget this. Respect is not demanded. It is commanded. And the way you command it is through your psychology, your self-perception, your boundaries, your confidence, your refusal to settle. The stronger your psychology, the stronger the way others treat you. Because at the end of the day, the mind doesn't respect words. It respects patterns. And the patterns you create in how you treat yourself will always be the blueprint for how others treat you. The greatest mistake people make in relationships is waiting for others to give them value. They believe love, attention, and respect will come from outside, as if someone else can hand them worth on a silver plate. But the truth is, no one can give you value. Value is created inside first. And the way you see yourself will always determine the way others see you. Think about it. When a person walks into a room carrying quiet confidence, a sense of dignity, and a presence that says, I know who I am. Everyone notices. They don't need to shout. They don't need to demand. Their energy speaks louder than words. That's the power of self-value. And it is this very self-value that makes the world treat you as something rare, something precious, something worth protecting. But when you doubt yourself, when you hide your shine, when you wait for someone else to validate you before you feel good enough, you send the opposite message. You tell the world, I don't see my own worth, so you don't need to see it either. And psychology responds, people subconsciously treat you the way you treat yourself. They mirror your inner belief. This is why two women with the same beauty, same intelligence, and the same kindness can live two completely different realities. One is cherished like a queen. The other is treated like an option. The difference is not in what they are, it's in what they believe about themselves. Because self-value is not about what you have, it's about what you believe you deserve. And here's where the shift begins. When you believe you are worthy of love, of respect, of loyalty, you stop chasing it. You stop begging for it. Or you stop lowering your standards just to keep someone. Instead, you carry yourself in a way that says, if you want to be in my life, you must rise to the level of my worth. That's not arrogance. That's truth. That's psychology. That's self-value in action. Men, like all human beings, are highly responsive to energy. They sense when a woman values herself. They sense when she holds herself to a higher standard. And whether they admit it or not, they treat her differently because of it. She becomes the woman they don't want to lose. She becomes the one they commit to, respect, and honor, not because she asked her for it, but because her self-value left no room for anything less. But when self-value is missing, everything changes. A woman who doubts herself will tolerate being an option. She will explain away red flags. She will forgive things that break her spirit. She will keep giving, hoping that one day someone will finally see her worth. But here's the hard truth. If you don't see it first, they never will. Because the mind only mirrors what is shown. Ask yourself, how do you carry your value? Do you believe your love is priceless? Or do you hand it out freely without making anyone earn it? Do you believe your time is sacred? Or do you let anyone waste it? Do you believe your presence is powerful? Or do you let others treat it as replaceable? Because every answer to those questions reveals exactly why people treat you the way they do. Psychology tells us that people follow emotional leaders. That means in any relationship, the person who has stronger self-belief sets the tone. If your belief is strong, if your value is undeniable, if your confidence is steady, you lead and others follow. But if your belief is weak, if your value is shaky, if your confidence breaks, you end up following, begging, and waiting for scraps. This is why self-value is the foundation of everything. Without it, you cannot attract respect. Without it, you cannot demand loyalty. Without it, you cannot stand tall as a queen. But with it, everything changes. Self-value builds confidence. Confidence builds standards. Standards build respect. And respect builds love. That's the chain reaction of psychology. Now, let's be clear. Self-value is not built overnight. It comes from daily choices. Every time you say no to something beneath you, you build self-value. Every time you walk away from a situation that disrespects you, you build self-value. Every time you invest in yourself, grow yourself, love yourself, you build self-value. And the stronger it becomes inside, the louder it speaks outside. Never forget this. People don't see your worth with their eyes. They feel it through your presence. They feel it through the way you speak, the way you move, the way you treat yourself. If you treat yourself like a queen, they will too. If you treat yourself like an option, they will too. The mirror of psychology never lies. So stop waiting for someone else to hand you a crown. Put it on yourself. Stop waiting for someone else to call you valuable. Declare it within yourself. Because once you do, the world has no choice but to align with what you already know. You are not ordinary. You are not replaceable. You are not an option. You are the prize. When you look at the women who are treated like queens, it's easy to assume they are just lucky. Maybe they found the right man. Maybe they were born into privilege. Maybe they have something others don't. But the truth is, it's not luck. It's not chance. It's not something given. It's something earned through the way they carry themselves. A woman who is treated like a queen doesn't beg for respect. She commands it. She doesn't have to argue for loyalty because loyalty naturally surrounds her. She doesn't need to scream to be noticed. Her presence speaks before her words do. What makes her different is the way she shows the world how she deserves to be treated, and she never compromises on it. Psychology shows us that people respond to certainty. A woman who knows who she is, what she stands for, and what she will never allow becomes magnetic. She creates clarity, and clarity creates respect. Men treat her like a queen because there is no confusion about her worth. There is no opening for games. There is no space for disrespect. She has already drawn the lines, and she holds them with unshakable strength. But what makes this woman powerful is not her pride. It's her standards. Standards are what separate queens from options. A queen knows that love without respect is not love at all. She knows that time without commitment is wasted. She knows that energy spent on someone who doesn't match her effort is a loss, not an investment. So she never gives her crown to someone who has not proven worthy of it. And because she doesn't settle, she inspires men to rise higher. This is the hidden psychology most people miss. When you demand more, you bring out more in others. When you set standards, people who want a place in your life are forced to level up. Men don't treat queens like queens simply out of choice. They do it because queens leave no room for anything less. They set the bar so high that respect becomes the only option. Now, understand this. Being treated like a queen is not about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about dignity. It's about self-respect. It's about saying, I will not be a second option in anyone's life because I already know I am the first choice. That kind of mindset reshapes the way men see you. It makes them value you not just for what you give, but for who you are. Think of it this way. If you walk into a jewelry store and see a diamond placed carelessly on the floor, you might not even notice it. You might step over it thinking it's just another stone. But if that same diamond is placed in a glass case, surrounded by security, or lit up for its brilliance, you immediately recognize its worth. Nothing about the diamond changed. What changed was how it was presented. Queens understand this. They protect their value. They place themselves where they belong. And because of this, men see them for the treasure they truly are. And there's something else. Queens never compete. They don't chase. They don't try to prove themselves to anyone because they already know what is meant for them will rise to their standards. They don't lower the bar just to keep someone close. Instead, they keep the bar high and allow the wrong people to walk away. That's why the right ones stay. That's why the right ones commit. Men respect queens because queens respect themselves first. They show that love is not desperation, it's choice. They show that relationships are not about filling emptiness, but about building strength together. And men are naturally drawn to women who carry this kind of confidence. Because deep down, psychology proves it. Every man wants a woman he can admire, not just a woman he can have. So ask yourself, what separates the woman who is treated like an option from the one who is treated like a queen? It's not luck. It's not chance. It's standards. It's presence. It's the courage to say no when others would settle for yes. It's the willingness to walk away from anything that does not match her worth. That is why men respect her. That is why they commit. That is why they protect her heart like it is treasure, because she has already shown them that it is. Never forget, respect is not requested. It is commanded. And queens command it by living in alignment with their value every single day. They don't just talk about being valuable. They embody it. They don't just hope for loyalty. They require it. They don't just dream of being cherished. They make it the only way they can be loved. That is why some women are treated like queens, because they choose to live like one first. And once you do the same, the world will have no choice but to treat you according to the crown you already wear. If queens are treated like queens because they set their standards high, then why are some women treated like options? The answer is painful, but it is simple. They allow it. They accept less. They give more than they receive. And over time, they teach others that it's okay to keep them on the sidelines. Being treated like an option doesn't happen overnight. It starts with small compromises. It starts when a woman ignores red flags because she hopes things will change. It starts when she accepts inconsistency and tells herself, at least he's still here. It starts when she gives her time, her energy, her body, and her heart without requiring commitment in return. Slowly, without realizing it, she sends a message, you don't need to prioritize me, I'll stay anyway. And once that message is clear, she becomes an option. Psychology shows us that people push boundaries to see how far they can go. If you don't enforce your limits, others will keep testing them. And if every test ends in tolerance, they learn that you can be stretched thinner and thinner. They learn that your love has no conditions, and love without conditions might sound noble, but in reality, it turns into convenience. When someone knows you will always be there no matter how they treat you, you stop being a treasure. You become a backup plan. Think about it. Why would anyone give their best to someone who accepts the bare minimum? The mind works on effort and reward. When effort is not required, reward loses value. That's why men treat some women like options, because they've never been required to give more. The relationship becomes unbalanced. One gives everything. The other gives only when convenient. And over time, the one who gives too much ends up empty, exhausted, and wondering why she is not being loved the way she deserves. The truth is, when you allow yourself to be an option, you are not teaching others about your weakness. You are teaching them about your fear of being alone, fear of losing someone, fear of starting over. And psychology responds to fear with power. People sense it, even if you never speak it. They know when you're afraid to walk away, and that fear gives them control. They can withhold commitment, withhold respect, withhold effort, because deep down they know you will stay anyway. And here lies the tragedy. Many women mistake loyalty for love. They stay loyal to someone who doesn't see their worth, believing that their loyalty will one day be rewarded. But human psychology doesn't work that way. Loyalty to disrespect doesn't inspire change. It confirms permission. It tells the other person, you can treat me this way and I won't leave. That is not loyalty. That is self-betrayal. But there's another side to this. Women who are treated like options are often some of the most loving, giving, and selfless people. Their mistake is not in how much they love, but in how little they require in return. They believe giving endlessly will eventually earn them respect. But psychology proves the opposite. What you require, you attract. What you tolerate, you multiply. And what you give without boundaries, people learn to take without limits. So why do men treat some women like options? Because they can, because the woman has shown through her actions that she will accept it. It is not always conscious, and it is not always cruel. Sometimes it's simply how the human mind adapts to what is allowed. But regardless of the reason, the outcome is always the same. She is left feeling undervalued, unappreciated, and unseen. This is not about blaming. This is about awareness, because once you see the truth, you can change it. The moment you decide that you will no longer accept being treated as second best, the dynamic shifts. The moment you show that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee, respect begins to return. And the moment you replace fear with self-value, you stop being an option and start becoming the only choice. Remember, options wait, queens choose. Options hope, queens decide. Options tolerate, queens set boundaries. And if you've ever been treated like an option, it does not mean you are less valuable. It only means you have been silent about your true value. But silence ends the moment you decide you deserve more. Psychology makes one thing clear. People follow the rules you set for yourself. If your rule is, I will accept whatever love is given, then you will always be treated as replaceable. But if your rule is, I will only accept love that matches my worth, then you will always be treated like the prize you truly are. Being an option is not your destiny. It's a position you've outgrown. And the moment you choose to walk differently, speak differently, and value yourself differently, the world will no longer see you as a choice among many. They will see you as the crown, the standard, the woman whose love cannot be replaced. If being treated like an option comes from accepting less, then the shield against it is boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are doors that show who is allowed in and how they are allowed to enter. They are the invisible lines that protect your value and command respect. And without them, love always turns into convenience. Think about it. Every relationship you have, whether with a friend, a partner, or even a stranger, operates within the rules you create. If you don't define those rules, others will. And when they do, they will always choose what benefits them, not what protects you. That is human nature. Psychology shows us that people naturally push limits until they meet resistance. If no resistance comes, the pushing never stops. That is why boundaries are not optional. They are essential. A boundary is simply this, the point where you say, this is what I deserve and this is what I will not allow. It is the place where self-value becomes action. Without boundaries, self-value is just a thought. With boundaries, self-value becomes reality. Men treat some women like queens because their boundaries leave no space for disrespect. They make it clear, love me right or not at all. And here's the truth that many people fear. Boundaries will cost you people. They will cause some to leave. They will expose those who only wanted to take advantage of your silence. But that is the gift of boundaries. They don't just keep you safe, they reveal who truly belongs in your life. Because anyone who is offended by your boundaries was only benefiting from you having none. Psychology explains that healthy boundaries create healthy attraction. Why? Because human beings are drawn to certainty. A woman who has boundaries communicates clarity. She shows without needing to explain that her love is not for sale. Her time is not to be wasted, and her loyalty is not to be tested. That kind of certainty is rare, and what is rare becomes respected. On the other hand, when boundaries are missing, chaos takes over. Without boundaries, you accept late-night calls with no commitment. You tolerate excuses instead of actions. You forgive betrayal without change. And every time you do, you weaken your own value in the eyes of others. It's not because you're not worthy, it's because you've made it too easy to overlook your worth. Think of boundaries as the fence around a garden. Without the fence, anyone can walk through, step on the flowers, and take what they want. But with the fence in place, only those who truly care enough to enter respectfully will be allowed inside. Boundaries don't destroy love, they protect it. They ensure that only the right kind of love survives. Some women fear that having boundaries will push people away, that they will look cold or unkind. But the opposite is true. Boundaries don't push away love, they attract real love. Because only those willing to respect you will remain. And respect is the soil where true love grows. Without it, relationships may start strong, but they will never last. Now ask yourself, what are your boundaries? Do you have clear lines that no one can cross? Or do you keep moving them in fear of losing someone? Do you say no when something doesn't align with your worth? Or do you say yes because you're afraid of conflict? Every time you lower your boundary, you lower your crown. And every time you hold firm, you remind the world that you are not an option, you are royalty. Boundaries also teach something powerful. They train others how to treat you. When someone tries to test your limits and you enforce your boundary, you send a psychological message. This is the standard. And over time, that standard becomes the only way they know how to interact with you. But if you bend every time they push, they learn the opposite. They learn that your boundaries are only words, not actions. And in psychology, actions always speak louder. The most powerful thing about boundaries is that they are not about controlling others. They are about controlling yourself. You cannot change how others act, but you can change what you allow. And when you master that, you master your relationships. You no longer waste time on people who cannot rise to your level. You no longer settle for half-hearted love. You no longer explain your worth. You show it. Never forget, boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They are not walls to isolate you. They are gates that protect you. And every time you honor them, you send a message to the world. I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And I will never settle for less. That message is the reason some women are treated like queens. Because they live as women who refuse to be anything less. So hold your boundaries close, defend them, strengthen them. Because when you do, you don't just protect your heart. You teach others that if they want a place in your life, they must bring respect, effort, and loyalty with them. And that is the foundation of love that lasts. Boundaries protect your worth, but there is something even deeper that determines how people treat you, the energy you carry. Psychology calls it presence. Spirituality calls it vibration. But whatever you name it, the law is the same. You attract what you project. Energy is silent, but it is powerful. It speaks before words do. It shapes how people feel around you. It decides whether they see you as someone to respect, someone to cherish, or someone they can take for granted. Men treat some women like queens because their energy radiates certainty, dignity, and self-value. They treat others like options because the energy they sense is fear, insecurity, or desperation. Think about how the human mind works. People respond less to what you say and more to what they feel in your presence. You can speak of worth all day, but if your energy whispers doubt, people will hear the whisper louder than the words. Or on the other hand, you can say nothing at all, yet if your energy radiates confidence, strength, and calm power, people sense it instantly. That is the law of energy at work. This is why two women can act the same on the surface but be treated completely differently. One may demand respect with her words, but radiates fear of being left behind. Another may speak softly, but radiates a calm certainty that says, I am enough. And it is the second woman who is treated like a queen, not because of what she said, but because of what her energy revealed. Her energy is contagious. People absorb what you project. If you carry insecurity, you attract those who take advantage of it. If you carry strength, you attract those who honor it. If you radiate neediness, you invite neglect. If you radiate wholeness, you invite commitment. This is not magic. It is psychology. The subconscious mind is always reading signals, always responding to unspoken cues. Now ask yourself, what energy do you carry? Do you walk into a room with shoulders heavy, hoping to be chosen? Or do you walk in with quiet confidence, knowing your presence is already the choice? Do you enter relationships begging to be loved? Or do you stand in relationships expecting the respect that matches your worth? Because whatever energy you hold inside will become the truth others respond to. Here's something important. Energy does not lie. You can hide your feelings with a smile. You can mask your doubt with strong words, but your energy reveals the truth. And the truth is what people respond to. That's why self-value and boundaries are not just outer actions. They shift your inner energy. When you truly believe you are worthy, when you truly hold your standards with strength, your energy transforms. And when your energy transforms, the world around you follows. Psychology teaches us that humans are drawn to confidence like a magnet. Not arrogance, not pride. Real confidence. The kind that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to chase, doesn't need to beg. That kind of energy is rare. And what is rare becomes priceless. This is why queens attract devotion. Their energy tells the world, I don't need you to complete me. I am already complete. That is the most powerful energy anyone can carry. But here is the trap many fall into. They focus only on appearance, not energy. They wear the crown on the outside, but doubt themselves on the inside. They set boundaries, but break them out of fear. They speak of worth, but silently hope someone else will confirm it. And in those moments, their energy betrays them. Because no matter how polished the surface is, the energy underneath always tells the truth. The law of energy is simple. What you radiate, you attract. If you radiate scarcity, you attract people who treat you as replaceable. If you radiate abundance, you attract people who treat you as irreplaceable. If you radiate desperation, you attract people who use it. If you radiate self-love, you attract people who mirror it. This is not just motivation. It is science. The subconscious picks up signals faster than words, and those signals create the way people treat you. So protect your energy. Feed it with self-love, self-respect, and inner peace. Don't let fear be the frequency you project. Don't let insecurity be the vibration you carry. Because the moment you shift your inner state, your outer reality shifts with it. Men will sense it, or people will sense it. And suddenly you are no longer treated like an option. You are treated like the prize. Never forget, energy is invisible, but it is undeniable. It shapes how you are seen, how you are valued, and how you are loved. And the greatest power you have is that your energy is always in your control. Choose to carry the energy of a queen, and the world will have no choice but to treat you like one. Energy shapes how the world treats you. But here's the truth. Many women have already lived years being treated as options. They've carried insecurity, they've accepted less, and they've allowed their value to be overlooked. And when you've been in that cycle for so long, it's easy to believe that's all you deserve. But hear this clearly. Your past does not define your future. You can break the cycle. Cycles are powerful because they feed themselves. When you accept being treated like an option, your self-worth drops. When your self-worth drops, your energy weakens. When your energy weakens, you attract more disrespect. And the cycle repeats over and over until you feel trapped. But the good news is, every cycle can be broken the moment you decide to stop feeding it. The power to change is not in someone else's hands. It is in yours. Breaking the cycle begins with awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to see. You must look at your life with honesty and ask, where have I been accepting less? Where have I lowered my standards out of fear? Where have I betrayed myself just to be loved? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Because awareness shines light on the patterns that keep you stuck. And once the light is there, the darkness cannot stay. The second step is decision. Change never begins until you draw a line and say, enough. Enough of waiting, enough of being second choice, enough of shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's small vision of love. That decision is not a whisper. It is a roar inside your soul. And the moment you make it, you begin to break the chains of the cycle that has held you down. Psychology teaches us that habits are formed by repetition, but the same science teaches us they can be broken by interruption. The moment you stop repeating the old pattern, the cycle begins to crack. Every time you enforce a boundary you used to ignore, the cycle weakens. Every time you walk away from half-love, the cycle weakens. Every time you choose self-value over fear, the cycle weakens. And eventually it collapses. But breaking the cycle is not just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. It's about pouring love into the places you once neglected. It's about feeding your energy with strength, not desperation. It's about looking into the mirror and finally seeing the queen you always were, not the option you once allowed yourself to be. Because when you see yourself differently, the world has no choice but to see you differently too. Of course, the cycle will fight back. Old habits will whisper. Fear will return. Loneliness will test you. But remember, every queen has faced moments where walking away felt harder than staying. Every queen has stood alone before she stood admired. Every queen has chosen dignity over comfort. And in that choice, she built her crown. You are no different. Your crown is waiting for you the moment you choose to wear it. There is also something powerful that happens when you break the cycle. You inspire others. The women around you see your strength, and they rise with you. The men around you see your value, and they respond with respect. Your choice to stop being an option becomes bigger than you. It becomes a signal to the world that cycles can be broken, that worth can be reclaimed, that dignity can be restored. So ask yourself, right now, are you ready to break the cycle? Are you ready to stop repeating the same story of being overlooked, undervalued, and unappreciated? Because the moment you are ready, the chains lose their power. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You only need a decision. And never forget this, being treated like an option is not your destiny. It is a chapter, but the pen is still in your hand. You can write a new chapter. You can build a new story. You can step out of the cycle and into the life of a queen. The power to break free has always been within you. And the moment you choose to use it, you will realize something powerful. You were never truly trapped. You were only waiting for the courage to walk out of the cage you built with your own acceptance. And once you step out, the cycle ends. Breaking the cycle is the first victory. But the real transformation happens when you step into the queen within. Because freedom from the past is not enough. You must rise into the power of who you were always meant to be. Becoming a queen is not about being worshipped. It's about being unshakable. It's about living in a way that no one can ever again reduce you to an option. So what does it mean to become the queen within? It begins with mindset. The most powerful kingdoms are not built with walls, but with beliefs. And the same is true for you. When your mind believes in your worth, your life rises to match it. Psychology proves that your identity shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your reality. So when you truly decide that you are worthy, that you are valuable, that you are the prize, your actions begin to align with that belief. And people respond to it with respect. Our queens are not created by chance. They are created by choice. A queen does not wake up hoping someone else will see her value. She wakes up already knowing it. She does not chase validation because validation is already within her. She does not fear being alone because she knows she is never lacking. That mindset alone separates her from the woman who is treated like an option because men can sense the difference. One says, I need you to complete me. The other says, I am whole already, and if you stand with me, you must rise to my level. Which one do you think is treated like a queen? But mindset is only the beginning. The queen within also shows up in action. She honors herself through self-care, not as vanity, but as dignity. She takes care of her body because it carries her strength. She invests in her mind because it shapes her world. She protects her peace because she knows chaos weakens her energy. Every act of self-care, every decision to put herself first reinforces the truth that she is valuable. And when you treat yourself as valuable, others cannot help but treat you the same. Another mark of the queen within is standards. A queen never accepts crumbs when she deserves a feast. She does not lower her worth to fit into someone else's shallow offering. She does not tolerate disrespect disguised as love. She sets her standards high, not because she is arrogant, but because she knows what her heart and soul deserve. And the remarkable truth is this: when you hold your standards, the wrong people leave, but the right people arrive. Standards do not push away love, they filter it. They ensure that the only love that enters your life is love that honors you. Confidence is another pillar. True queens carry themselves with a confidence that does not need to be loud. It's not about shouting, it's about presence. It's about walking into a room and not needing to be noticed because your energy already speaks. Confidence says, I know who I am and nothing can shake that. And psychology shows us that this kind of confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to it, men especially, not because it is intimidating, but because it is rare. And what is rare becomes priceless. But perhaps the most powerful part of becoming the queen within is emotional strength. Life will test you. Love will test you. People will test you. And every queen must decide how she will respond. Will she collapse under pressure or will she rise? Emotional strength is not about being cold, it's about being steady. It's about not letting betrayal define you, not letting rejection shrink you, not letting loneliness control you. It's about standing tall, even when the storm is raging, and saying, I will not be broken. And here's something extraordinary. When you become the queen within, you no longer seek to be treated like one. You simply are. Men cannot help but treat you differently because your energy, your actions, and your presence demand it without a single word. They know instinctively that you are not an option, that you are not replaceable, that you are not temporary. You become the standard they rise to meet. Remember, becoming the queen within is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. It is about shedding the masks, the fears, the desperate need to be chosen, and standing fully in who you are. Because when you are authentic, when you are whole, when you are unshakable, the crown is no longer something you wear, it becomes something you are. So rise into that version of yourself. Walk in the mindset, the actions, the standards, the confidence, and the strength of the queen you were always meant to be. And once you do, the world will never again see you as an option. They will see you as what you truly are, the prize, the treasure, the queen within. You've walked through the truth of why some women are treated like queens while others are treated like options. You've seen how self-value, boundaries, and inner power shape the way the world responds to you. But now, it all comes down to one choice, a choice only you can make. Will you rise as a queen or will you settle for being someone's option? Life does not hand out crowns. Life gives you the raw material, and you decide whether to forge it into gold or leave it untouched. Every moment you live, you are teaching people how to treat you. Every decision you make sends a message, this is what I accept, this is what I deserve. The question is, what message have you been sending? If you have been treated like an option, do not carry shame. Do not believe you are broken. Do not believe you are unworthy. Understand this. Being treated like an option does not mean you are one. It only means you accepted less than you deserved. And that acceptance can change in an instant, the moment you decide your value is no longer negotiable. Psychology tells us that people rise to the level of the standards we set. When your standards are low, people sink. When your standards are high, people stretch. And when your standards are unshakable, only those who are strong enough will remain. So ask yourself, are your standards a reflection of your fear or a reflection of your worth? Because one will keep you small, but the other will make you unforgettable. A queen is not remembered because she asked for respect. She is remembered because she embodied it. She carried herself with dignity in every step. She walked away from what did not honor her, even when it hurt. She chose peace over chaos, even when loneliness knocked on the door. She decided that her crown was worth more than anyone's temporary affection, and that decision made her unforgettable. Do not underestimate the power of presence. People can sense whether you see yourself as valuable or replaceable. They can feel it in your energy. They can read it in your words. They can see it in your choices. And the truth is, they will treat you exactly as you believe you deserve. If you believe you are worthy of loyalty, you will attract loyalty. If you believe you are worthy of commitment, you will receive commitment. If you believe you are worthy of being loved like a queen, that is how you will be loved. But this requires courage, courage to walk away from anything that treats you less than what you know you are, courage to face loneliness instead of tolerating disrespect, courage to hold your standards high, even when the world tells you to lower them, courage to believe in your worth when no one else does. That courage is what separates the women who are treated like queens from those who are treated like options. Remember this, your crown cannot be given, and it cannot be taken. It is not something you beg for. It is not something a man places on your head. It is something you are born with. The only question is, will you wear it or will you hide it? Every queen in history had to choose her crown. She had to stand in her power, even when it was uncomfortable. She had to say no more when the world tried to silence her. She had to embrace the truth that her value was not up for debate. And when she did, the world finally saw her for who she was. That same power is inside you right now. So, this is your call. This is your moment. Do not wait for someone else to see your worth. See it yourself. Do not wait for someone else to respect you. Respect yourself. Do not wait for someone else to choose you. Choose yourself first. Because when you do, the world will follow. You are not an option. You never were. You are the prize. You are the treasure. You are the queen. And from this moment forward, the way you carry yourself, the standards you hold, and the love you demand will reflect that truth. So rise, walk tall, wear your crown without apology, and never again allow anyone to treat you as anything less than what you are. Because the moment you choose to be the queen within, the world has no choice but to treat you like one.